All right, let's jump right in. We're going to travel back in time a bit, all the way back to ancient China, around the 6th century BCE.
To meet one of history's most influential and maybe mysterious figures, Laozi.
Right, the legendary founder of Taoism. His ideas are basically a blueprint for finding some calm in what can feel like a really chaotic world.
And chaos is a good word for it. Laozi lived during the Zhou Dynasty, and it was a time of just constant conflict and corruption.
The Warring States period.
Exactly. And it's really important to understand his job. He wasn't a soldier or a king. He was an official keeper of the archives for the royal court.
So he had a front row seat to all the political drama. But more than that, he had access to all the ancient scrolls, all historical records.
Precisely. He was basically absorbing centuries of wisdom, which I think is reflected in his name. Laozi literally translates to old master.
Or I've also seen old child, which is interesting.
It is. The idea is that he saw the world making the same mistakes over and over,
Yeah.
all because people were chasing power instead of, peace.
And eventually he just got fed up with it all. He saw that political life was this trap of ego and force, so he decided to leave.
She just walks away, disappears into the Western Mountains. But, and this is the lucky part for us, before he vanished, someone managed to convince him to write down his essential teachings.
And that's where we get the foundational text of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching.
Yep, it's often translated as the classic of the way and its power or virtue. But you have to know, it's not some massive textbook. It's just 81 short, poetic chapters.
It's compact but incredibly deep. And if you're ever feeling, overwhelmed by the pressure to succeed or fit in, Laozi's whole mission here is the antidote.
It really is. He wrote this to show that true strength doesn't come from forcing your will on others. It comes from finding inner harmony.
It's a roadmap for living simply, for balancing your energy. It tells you to look for the underlying essence of things, not just the surface stuff like money or reputation.
So if we're going to talk about that essence, we have to start with the big one, the core concept, the Tao, usually translated as the way. But you have to get this right away. It is not a person, it's not a god, it's not a set of rules. It is the natural order of the universe itself.
Okay, that sounds huge and pretty abstract. If it's everything, how do you even start to describe it?
Well, that's the trick. Laozi said that the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. It's invisible, it's silent, but at the same time, it's the source of everything, of all existence, all movement.
The energy that makes the seasons change and the stars move.
That's it. To make it more relatable, he used a really great analogy.
Water.
Water. Think about it. Water is soft, it's yielding, it seems weak, but you give it enough time.
It can carve canyons. It wears away the hardest rock.
Exactly. That's the quiet, persistent power of the Tao.
Yeah.
The hardest things in the world break. The softest things endure.
That's a huge shift in perspective for us. I mean, we're taught to be tough, to be rigid, to push through obstacles. Is the goal here to literally stop fighting the universe?
That is the core idea, yes. It means aligning your life with that natural rhythm, with the flow of nature. It's about finding a sense of purpose that doesn't depend on getting an A+ or winning the game.
Because that purpose becomes internal.
And it's constant, because the Tao is everywhere. It's in the wind, the trees, and most importantly, it's within you.
And once you start to see that universal flow, you realize it's all built on this perfect dynamic balance.
Which brings us to probably the most famous idea from Taoism, yin and yang.
Right. The two opposite but complementary forces that make up everything, they're partners.
Essential partners, always working together. Let's break down the classic attributes. Yin is usually associated with the more passive qualities.
So darkness, the moon, the female principle, stillness, coolness.
And yang balances that out with the active qualities. Light, the sun, the male principle, activity, and heat.
The key thing you said, though, is their relationship. They aren't in a battle.
Not at all. They completely rely on each other. You can't even define day without night. You can't have up without down.
Okay, so if they're supposed to work together, where do things go wrong in life? Where do the problems start?
The problems start when we try to force an imbalance, when we value one over the other.
For instance, in your own life, if you try to be all yang, just go, 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 stressed, working nonstop.
With zero yin, with no rest, no stillness, no time to just reflect, you burn out. It's inevitable. A healthy life needs both.
That famous symbol, the circle with the two swirls, it perfectly shows that dance, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows that constant eternal movement between them. And you have to notice the little dot of the opposite color inside each swirl.
The seed of its opposite.
Right. That's the philosophical gem. It means nothing is absolute. Yang always contains the seed of yin, and yin contains the seed of yang. At the very peak of summer's heat, the first hint of autumn is already there.
So if the universe is in this constant, effortless motion, this dance, how are we supposed to act? I think that question leads us right to the next big idea, Wu Wei.
Wu Wei. This is one that often confuses people the most. The direct translation is non-action.
Which, yeah, sounds like a great excuse for not doing your homework.
Right. But that's a total misunderstanding. A much better translation is effortless action.
So it doesn't mean doing nothing.
No, it means acting naturally, spontaneously, without all the extra effort and calculation and ego getting in the way. You're acting in harmony with a situation, not forcing yourself against it.
Is there a feeling that goes with that? Like, how do you know if you're doing it right?
It's very close to what modern psychologists call a flow state. You know that feeling when an artist is painting or an athlete is competing, and the action just becomes automatic, effortless.
You achieve amazing things, but it doesn't even feel like you were straining.
Exactly. So instead of being the swimmer fighting against the current, you're the swimmer who feels the current and lets it guide them, just making small, smart adjustments.
Laozi said most of our suffering and anxiety comes from trying way too hard to control things we can't actually control.
He did. And when you let go a little, let your natural instincts guide you, your actions become incredibly effective because there's no tension. It's like a tree. The tree grows perfectly tall and strong without ever looking like it's trying to grow.
It just is.
It just is. And that idea of just being, of natural effectiveness, leads right into the kind of lifestyle Taoism recommends. Simplicity.
Which is a radical idea today. Laozi was telling people to forget the endless chase for fame, for status, for more stuff.
He was. In a world driven by social media where everyone's comparing their follower count or their new shoes, it's a huge challenge.
So why was he so against it?
Because the need for more, for external validation, is what creates a worried, distracted mind. If your happiness is tied to something outside of you that can be taken away, your peace is always fragile.
True wealth, then, is just being content with what you have.
Being content, appreciating a quiet moment. And that goes hand in hand with humility, which Laozi saw as the ultimate sign of strength, not weakness.
But our society usually sees humility as a lack of ambition, doesn't it?
It does, but Laozi completely flips that. He uses the image of the valley. A valley stays low, right? But because it stays low, it receives all the water, all the nutrients, flowing down from the high, arrogant mountain.
So the humble person is open to learning, open to feedback. Arrogance just closes you off.
Perfectly put.
Yeah.
And that leads to the next virtue, one of the three great treasures, compassion. His advice here is really challenging. He said, if someone comes at you with anger, you should respond with kindness.
That is so difficult to do in the moment when you feel you're right to be angry back.
Of course. But he said matching anger with anger just creates this painful, never-ending cycle. To act gently, even when provoked, takes incredible inner courage. You break the cycle by choosing the soft way.
And if we take that idea and zoom out from just person-to-person interaction, it completely changes how you see your place in the world, especially with nature.
Oh, absolutely. Taoism puts a huge value on the natural world. Humans are just one part of nature. We aren't here to dominate it or destroy it.
We're supposed to learn from it. Observing the seasons teaches you how to accept the flow of time in your own life.
Exactly. So protecting the environment isn't just some political issue, it's a personal health issue. The health of your mind and body is directly tied to the health of your surroundings.
This principle of harmony even applied to leadership. I mean, he gave specific advice to rulers.
He did. And a Taoist leader is almost invisible. They lead by example, from the background. They never use force or threats.
They empower people to solve their own problems.
Yes. They let go of the need for personal credit or fame. The ultimate test of a great leader, for Laozi, was that when the work was done, the people would look around and say,
We did it all by ourselves.
we did it all by ourselves. The leader puts the people's well-being way above their own power.
And that focus on well-being brought them inward, too, to the body as a kind of a temple for the spirit.
And this is where many traditional Chinese practices come from. The focus on longevity, on vital energy, led to things like Tai Chi and Qigong.
Those slow, deliberate exercises and breathing techniques.
Right. They weren't just for fitness. They were designed to keep the body's internal energy, its qi, flowing smoothly. They believed it calmed the nervous system and strengthened you from the inside out.
And it was all about moderation.
Always moderation.
Sure.
Avoid extremes in diet, in emotion, in activity. Preserve your vital energy by living a balanced life. The goal wasn't just to live a long time, but to be healthy and vital as you aged.
So we've covered the way, yin and yang, effortless action, simplicity, humility. I mean, this stuff is thousands of years old, but it feels incredibly relevant.
It's timeless because it addresses basic human stress, the feeling of being rushed, the anxiety of comparing yourself to others, the need to control everything. This philosophy just encourages you to stop, to observe, to trust the process.
It reminds you that you're connected to this huge ancient universe and that the biggest answers are rarely loud or complicated. They're usually found when you finally get quiet enough to listen.
The way is always there.
So, to leave you with something to think about, if the Taoist idea is that true strength comes from softness, what is one major thing in your life right now, maybe at school, in a friendship, or with a goal that you are trying to force? And what do you think would happen if you chose the path of least resistance instead? Good luck finding your flow.